everybody. We are just excited to share this data. This is the 5th year in a row that this survey has been done with the Harris poll. I think it's the 5th year that I've presented it at Brand Innovators. So really excited to be back with you all. We at Roku are just really excited about the upcoming holiday season. A quick 30 seconds about us. We are the nation's largest, America's #1 streaming platform. We reach households with more than 130 million folks in it. Really fantastic data and insights into how to reach those consumers. And that's what we're going to unpack now. So with that, I will share my screen. And we'll get into it. So we looked at a couple things this holiday season, and I think it's important to understand kind of what we were diving to really understand for our brand marketing partners and for those looking to reach consumers this holiday. The first is, what's the current consumer sentiment? The age-old question every year and every retailer right around now is, are the holidays going to happen this year? And we have the answer that'll come up in a minute. Then the next question is, well, when, where, and how is that shopping going to occur? And we'll unpack that. I think third, and probably most important for this audience, is the changing path to purchase. COVID has really accelerated a couple key trends that have really become secular shifts, and we'll talk about those and really how we need to navigate those to be successful in reaching consumers this holiday season. And then lastly, we did some deep dives talking to our brand partners. You know, a lot of them are interested in how do they reach certain subgroups, whether those are parents or millennials or different ethnic groups like Hispanics. So we cut the data in different ways for a quick preview here. However, the quick commercial is, if anything here piques your interest, we're more than happy to send the full report to anybody who would like it. And we can also cut the data about 15 ways to Sunday. This is an in-depth report. It was done with the Harris poll. America is one of their most preeminent polling companies. We looked at more than 2,000 shoppers, really cutting across every demographic. So as you can see here, we can go deep on all the data. So let's get to the data. The #1 question on everyone's mind in retail today, are the holidays going to happen? And the good news is yes. 7 in 10 shoppers are confident the economy will improve in the next 12 months, and that confidence is spurring a fairly significant increase in shopping. 86% of holiday shoppers this year plan to spend the same or more on holiday gifts. What's really interesting is those who plan to spend more. 36%, so more than a third of shoppers report planning to spend more this holiday season. That is the biggest number we've seen since 2018. We have to go back to before COVID to see numbers of that magnitude. So there is a lot of optimism heading into this holiday season. What that breaks out to is we're seeing about $938 is what the average holiday shopper plans to spend this year, or about a 5% increase. It's actually about 5.6%, so between 5 and 6%. And that lines up pretty well with what we're seeing from, I think, the MasterCard survey, which had it about 7%. So the good news is it's looking like this could be a record holiday season with shopping. So a lot of cash registers will be rolling out this holiday season. One of the interesting trends that we saw this year for the first time in the 5 years we've been doing this survey is the emergence of home and household goods as the #3 item that folks plan to shop for. This has traditionally been a #5 or 6 item. It's now going to be the 3rd most shopped for item. And what's driving that is consumers reporting that because of COVID, because of the work from home environment, they're planning to buy a gift either for themselves or for a family member to make the home environment more welcoming and more open to that work from home environment. So a really interesting category emerging this holiday season. What do they plan to spend on, or for who rather? Not a lot of shocks here. I think one of my favorite data points is that pets are going to get more than coworkers this year. I think that's largely because for many of us, our pets were our coworkers the past 18 months. But that's an interesting trend line that we're seeing. A couple interesting other fun data points. Men, once again this year, are feeling very generous. Both for themselves, they plan to spend about twice as much on themselves as women do. But good news, they also plan to spend twice as much on their spouse as women do. So they are very much in the giving mood. Millennials, a trend that we'll see throughout this report, really standing out. They plan to spend the most on themselves. The reason why we have a number of callouts in this report on millennials is obvious. I think it's America's largest demographic. They have a spending power of about $1.4 trillion annually. And they are the most optimistic and most eager to get back to shopping this holiday season. So it'll be a very target-rich environment for marketers this year. That's kind of our upfront. Now we'll dive in a little bit deeper into when, where, and how they'll shop. You know, a trend we've been seeing over the last couple of years, the shopping has started earlier and earlier, and that's no different this year. In fact, 1 in 4 parents started in August. 1 in 5 overall shoppers started in August. And what's driving that is this concern over inventory and holiday shipping, something I think we've all experienced when stock has been out or there's been delays in shipping due to COVID or other issues. Shoppers are aware of this, they're concerned about it, so they're starting their shopping earlier than they have historically. Some good news for retailers, we're seeing a bounce back to in-store retail shopping. 64% plan to go back in store. That's an 11% increase from last year when we saw kind of an all-time low due to COVID concerns, people staying away from the stores. So good news, retail in-store shopping will not return to pre-COVID levels, but will normalize at least back not quite as off as it was last year. Diving a little bit deeper though, of course, online is still dominant. We're going to see 52% or the majority of all shopping being done online. Gen Z are emerging. We don't spend a lot of time on this report on Gen Z only because their spending power this holiday season is relatively small as their demographic age group cuts off at 24. However, they are an emerging group we want to watch. If anybody's interested in a deep dive on Gen Z, we've got great data on them. But they will do almost 2/3 of their shopping online this holiday season. An interesting area that we're watching, it's still not really significant overall, but it's growing significantly, is the growth of voice-activated shopping. When we first did this question about 3 years ago, 2% of those said they were going to do some shopping via voice activation. It then went to 3% and 4%, and now 5% will do some shopping via voice activated. Again, those millennials being early adopters, 1 in 10 of the dollars they plan to spend will be spent through voice activated platforms. A couple of questions that we get asked regularly is, is the traditional shopping window, it used to be online shopping, the bulk of online shopping happened from about 7 to 10 p.m. at night. One of the other shifts with COVID, with the work from home, is that really daytime is now the new prime time for shopping. So we see the bulk of shopping happening during the traditional workday. Millennials will do almost half of their shopping during a 2-hour window, their lunch window during the day. What's interesting that we look at as we help marketers figure out how to adjust their media mix, how to reach those consumers, is that lines up perfectly to when they're streaming. More people stream more content during the traditional workday than they do during prime time. So what you see lining up there is that 40% of consumers report regularly streaming and shopping at the same time. And that really is changing how we think about the path to purchase from really and how we think about the funnel of television, from being a traditional top of the funnel brand awareness, brand building tool, to really being a full funnel tool where you can get some fantastic insights and performance at the bottom. We'll talk about that in a minute. So the path to purchase. This will come as no shock to those, I think, on this gathering today. Cord cutting trends have accelerated. They've continued their march in the up and to the right direction. Fully 1/3. So let's let this sink in for a second. 1 out of 3 shoppers are completely unreachable on traditional television today. I spent a lot of time talking with marketers, and I usually follow that up with saying, are you still spending 70% of your budget on television, on linear television? If so, your customer isn't there. This number is dramatically larger for folks like millennials and for Gen Z. But the key takeaway here is 1 in 3 shoppers completely unreachable today on linear television as we move into the holiday season. 86% of consumers are TV streamers today. These numbers are all big, so it's interesting to put them into context. So two of my favorite data points is only 68% of US households have a dishwasher and 85% have a washing machine, according to the US Census. So 86% of consumers are now streamers. The takeaway here, the headline, streaming is now mainstream. It's a primary way in which many of us are engaging with content on the biggest screen in our house. And to that point, last year when I presented this data, the real headline was that for the first time, streaming had overtaken traditional television in terms of time watched throughout the week. It had surpassed it by 12 minutes. This year, that number has grown 5x to 78 minutes. Now, this is self-reported data, but if you look at millennials and other groups, it completely aligns with what we're seeing from Nielsen and others, that really streaming is becoming the dominant way many watch television content today. The next data point is my all-time favorite, and I have shared it every year that we've done it with the Brand Innovators folks. And each year I was astonished by how big it had gotten. 3 years ago, we asked a quirky question. We just were curious. And we asked, have you ever been so engaged by an ad that you saw on a streaming platform that it caused you to pause the ad and immediately go and shop for that product? And when we first asked this a couple of years ago, it was something like 8%, 18%. It was a shocking number. I was surprised, 18%. It grew to about 27%. it has now grown significantly, and that number is 49% of holiday shoppers. So literally 1 out of 2 holiday shoppers are pausing ads and going to shop for the product. You see millennials significantly higher there. Another key takeaway this year we saw on traditional, as we dived into the holiday shopper, was really what's influencing their purchase. And this was really interesting. TV ads overtook online reviews as being the second most influential source to shape purchase intent. Of course, that's after family and friends. What's largely driving this when you dive into the data is just a lack of trust for unnamed, unvetted sources. So of course, friends and family, number one, but TV ads, because the brand's front and center, they know who the advertisement's coming in at number two. The last data point on the slide that I think is really interesting that just again speaks to that full funnel, thinking differently about advertising. Both they're pausing and going to purchase, but they're also consumers are interacting with ads. They're clicking on QR codes, they're doing interesting things with ads. And what this really speaks to is this need in the streaming space to think differently about your advertising strategy, to go beyond that traditional 30 or 15-second ad and think about how you're going to engage the consumer. Can you do sponsored content? Can you unlock a holiday movie for them? All these things are available to brands on streaming today in really exciting ways that, as as Paul mentioned at the beginning, are rich in data measurement and provide you some great agility as you're moving around your ad spend. Okay, almost done. We'll take some questions if there's any. I see there are a couple popping up here. So if you have any questions, throw them in the Q&A chat and I'll run through them here at the end. A couple things on consumer snapshots. So we've just again broke out a couple key demographic groups that we thought would be interesting to marketers this holiday season. The first are obviously millennials. Millennials are going to spend more than any other age demographic this holiday season, coming in at over $1,000. One of my favorite stats, because I talk to marketers, they say, well, holiday shopping has already started. We're too late. And the reality is you're not too late. There's plenty of time left. Millennials plan to do 70% of their shopping on just 2 days this year, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So they're going to do the majority of their shopping. 70% of millennials will do most of their shopping on just those 2 days. So there's still plenty of time to get in front of them with great advertising, great engagement to move them over. A couple other fun data points here. Again, thinking about this demographic, highly engaged. They need to go beyond the 30-second ad. Almost 2/3 of them want to click on ads, have clicked on ads or engaged with an interactive ad. And they're also those pause to shoppers, which we love seeing, that 71%, again, helping us really rethink that full funnel of advertising on television from both awareness to performance. Looking at Hispanics, as far as the ethnic groups, they are the single largest spender this holiday season. They're going to spend over $1,300. And again, they're also highly engaged with the types of ad units they're watching. The key question we get asked all the time in this space is, well, are folks just streaming Netflix or Disney Plus? Are they not available to marketers? And as I showed earlier, majority of millennials are watching ad-supported content. Majority of Hispanics are watching advertising supported content. And so there still is a very rich environment for advertisers to reach and engage holiday shoppers in streaming environments this year. Our last snapshot is the parent. They're going to spend about a little over $1,000, almost $1,100 this year. 60% plan to do the majority of their shopping online. That's not a big surprise. Parents have continually been outpolling the overall metric for those who plan to do most of their shopping online. They do plan to do pretty heavy up on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so very similar to millennials. There's going to be a lot of shopping done on those days. So I will wrap up and then go ahead and take any questions you may have. We really have 5 key takeaways for our brand partners as they think about how to really win this holiday season. The first is pretty simple. You need to buy TV the way your consumers are watching TV. 1 in 3 holiday shoppers completely unreachable on linear television. We want to make sure that we're buying TV where they're spending their time, and where they're now, according to the survey, spending most of their time, and that's in the streaming environment. A real kind of exciting time. We're in a bit of a renaissance period in brand marketing and design and the exciting ways we can think about advertising, the ability to go beyond the 30-second ad. There's just so many fun things that are happening with advertising. At Roku, we've launched our brand studio, helping brands think about everything from having your own television show. Maker's Mark launched a really exciting show with Randall Park on our platform a few months back. That's very popular. It's, you have a great celebrity mixing drinks and then having conversations with his best friends in his own living room. These are fantastic experiences. Consumers want to watch them. They're engaging and they're just great, authentic moments. Again, getting back to that authenticity that Paul mentioned at the beginning, authentic moments for brands. So lots of ways to go beyond the 30-second ad. Go omni-channel. So we talked about in this survey how 41% of consumers are shopping while they're streaming. So they've got the biggest screen in the house up in front of them, and they have the smaller screen in their lap. So the ability to, again, pulling on one of Paul's comments, how do you engage in a cookieless world? Going beyond just the TV, but using the cross-device capabilities of the TV in the household to connect in an omni-channel way with the mobile experience, a laptop in a cookieless environment is really going to be helpful this holiday season. And last, we've been pounding this over and over again. Embrace streaming's full funnel. This is really an exciting opportunity for us to think differently about television, for us to be thinking about how do we, when we see that 70% of millennials, 49% of consumers are seeing an ad and directly going to shop for it, it helps you think a little differently about holiday shopping. And last, start early. The holiday season has begun. And with that, I will wrap up. And Paul, happy to answer any questions I think we have here in the chat session, or however you want to proceed.
Okay, folks, please do ask any questions you may have. Put them in the chat, team. I don't see any in there now, Dallas, but I will, whilst we are waiting for questions to come in, I'll tell you, I think there's some really interesting insights in what you're talking about. Consumer optimism abounds. That is awesome. That works for brands on the B2B side, on the consumer side. I think it's great that pets are going to do better than people. I know that's the case in our house. And the fact that shoppers are starting earlier, there's an impact there for advertisers. And that is that advertisers need to be online in front of consumers right now, because those fears about inventory, those fears about supply chain are absolutely real. So that was an amazing insight. And I'll tell you one other insight for me, selfishly, that I love is the voice activated shopping. As an audio brand, we are seeing a lot of our clients now coming into audio, engaging through smart speakers in a really, really meaningful way. So I'm glad to see that, that you double clicked on that insight. We do have a couple of questions here. For you. Rachel asks, do you have any metrics around people chatting with each other about the ads that they are seeing? Any of the, I think the question is really about the interactivity of engagement. To your other point of people are taking recommendations from friends and family above all else. So is there that ability for brands to be stewards of conversations?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think there are three key data points from this survey. The first one was obviously that television ads are the second most influential in shaping purchase intent. But we also have additional research. I'm not going to be able to pull it out of my head, but I can get it and share it with the group that asks specifically on ad effectiveness. When you saw an ad, how likely was it to cause you to go deeper? How likely was it to cause you to actually share it? So we do have research on that. And I see that a couple folks have asked for the data. What I'll do is we have a full report. I'll send the link. You can download it for free to the folks at Brand Innovators, and hopefully they can get it out to you guys and you can download with all the data.
Awesome.
I think, and somebody asked about, I think basically unduplicated audiences. Is there a capability to reach to engage a campaign to ensure you're not, you're hitting folks that you're also reaching via traditional linear television? The answer is 100% yes. So at least on platforms like Roku, you can have a guaranteed unduplicated audience. So you can say, I want to only reach cord cutters that I know I'm not spending money on linear television. And that is absolutely an option you have available to you in streaming.
Awesome. I think that are the questions we have, Dallas. That was really great. That was a lot of data. Thanks for making it available to us. We really appreciate your time and your big brains.